Welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show that looks at the highs and the lows around world football this weekend. Hamill is back after Christmas, sporting a new waistcoat.
What do you think?
Yeah, I rate it. I really rate it.
Going fishing after this?
Yeah.
Fishing for interesting football content.
And there wasn't much this weekend because it was the FA Cup, but we're going to try our best. Nevertheless, the first winner, of course, Liverpool, suggested by Sivet Berg.
Embarrassing for Everton, this.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Curtis Jones' stunning goal. That looper comes in off the stanchion, doesn't it? Separating the two sides. One of Everton's most humiliating derby defeats, and there's plenty to pick from. They haven't won in 367 attempts or something of that ilk. And I think the average age of the squad was 5 years younger. Everton's in comparison to Liverpool's. And the 18-year-old who scored in the 71st minute became, subsequently, Liverpool's youngest goal scorer in a Merseyside derby since Robbie Fowler in 1994. Klopp making 9 changes, 9 from the side.
Rest them up.
Convincingly beat Sheffield United on Thursday. Ancelotti virtually played his strongest side that was available to him. I think it'd be fair to say. Did tinker with the right-hand side as well, didn't he? You might pick up on that in a second. Liverpool naming 3 teenagers by comparison. Jones, Harvey Elliott, who looks like an absolute rascal, but what a footballer he is. Very naturally gifted. How you can look that comfortable at 16 playing against men is quite disarming, to be perfectly honest. And Nico Williams, who I think a championship club should snap up right now. So this is the first time that Liverpool have named 3 teenagers even in their squad since 2012. That does exclude League Cup matches. I don't know why it excludes League Cup matches. That's
because they lost 5-0 to Villa, didn't they? And they played the under-4s.
Okay. And the youngsters were bloody superb, goes about saying at this point, ensuring that Liverpool now remain unbeaten in their past 23 home games against Everton in all competitions. It's the most one-sided derby of all time. Do we just drop the derby moniker? This is it doesn't deserve the derby title. Everton, get your act together. The host thoroughly's maybe a bit strong because Everton did have a good first half, but they had 57% of the ball in the end, 5 shots on target to the visitors' 3. Didn't have a shot on target in the second half then.
Yeah, they fell off the cliff, didn't they?
Absolutely hounding. They've been Everton, this is, eliminated from the 3rd round in the FA Cup in 4 of the last 6 campaigns. A competition that they really should be gunning for, in my opinion. That's as many as the preceding 20 seasons. And here's what Ancelotti even had to say about the defeat.
I think the defeat arrived because we were not able to keep high intensity in the second half. We lost energy, we lost confidence. I think we were not able to build up quick from the back. And so for this reason, we were not able to keep the same idea that we had in the first half to attack their defensive line, where we did well. 2 or 3 opportunities we had, we could score.
Yeah, just picking up on Curtis Jones, you mentioned him earlier, some talent for an 18-year-old, a fantastic finish, man of the match on the day, 2 shots, 3 key passes, a real scouser, in the words of Jurgen Klopp, and banging on the door of first team selection, although some of his comments post-match where he said, I'm a little bit disappointed not to be included more regularly. Very ballsy, given how good this Liverpool squad is. And like you said, Neco Williams as well, a really talented youngster. I don't know whether they would send him out on loan. I actually think he's probably their second best right-back option behind Trent when James Milner is now, if he has got...
I suppose Joe Gomez can play out there as well.
Yeah,
right?
Joe Gomez can play out there. If James Milner's injury is bad, he might be considered as that right-back backup, though. You never know.
What did you think of Chirivella?
Okay. He's all right.
The skinniest man I've ever seen on a football pitch.
He was all right. I thought Adrian was actually pretty good as well, coming in as sort of a backup to Alisson, of course. I actually thought Everton should have gone in 2-0 up at half-time. There were some great chances. That Mason Holgate header had to hit the net. And I thought the Richarlison effort from that Theo Walcott cutback should have been a goal as well. But nevertheless, yet again, Everton's poor finishing costing them. Want to touch a little bit about Origi as well, because he's obviously in great form against Everton, isn't he? Consistently scoring against them. 3 shots on the day here, 3 key passes, and of course, an assist that kind of semi-counts, although he should have had an assist for Minamino in the first half when Minamino missed that header. He looked okay, lively, pretty good at picking up space between the lines, obviously still adapting. This was his first game.
His dribbling was on point as well, like you said.
Dribbling was on point.
Passing maybe not so much, but looks dainty. he looks better, doesn't
Liverpool fans obviously very excited about him as well.
A marked improvement, for
sure.
very,
very excited. Liverpool launched LFC Japan as well, the Twitter page, at the exact same time that he made his debut. A little interesting nugget there. But the second half was just all red, wasn't it? I don't know what happened to Everton. They weren't terrible in the first half. Like I said, they created some good chances. They just fell off a cliff. Didn't have a shot on target. Just 4 touches in the opposition box. I thought Gylfi Sigurdsson really struggled. He only completed 18 passes, which is a bit of a worry for a central midfielder. And I understand there are midfield problems and centre-back problems for Everton with Andre Gomez and Mbamin being injured. They've just got to get somebody in.
But he was doing this last season, Gylfi Sigurdsson. He literally only operates in the final third. And when you're struggling to wrestle possession from the opposition, he doesn't really help you out on that front. Yes, he completes a lot of passes in the final third, but that's literally all he does. So they were really lacking that midfield presence that they had last season. Gomez, of course, driving them forward. I think he was completing their most passes into the final third. So they need to rush some people back from injury.
Yeah, and they can't really do it because obviously Andre Gomez has got that seriously broken ankle, and Mbamin hasn't trained even lightly yet with the first team, so he won't be coming back anytime soon. I reckon Ancelotti will be gunning for replacements. Apparently he's got a meeting today with Marcel Brands about transfers in this window. He might well want a forward as well. But I'm not too sure where they go from here because it was just a torrid day at the office, wasn't it? One of their worst results in recent memory, really. They'll look to bounce back there. They've got Brighton on Sunday, and Ancelotti, although he has had a couple of defeats in the last 2 games, they have come against Liverpool and Man City, just for a bit of context. So he won't be too disheartened. Liverpool, though, have to go to Tottenham, a team that we are about to discuss and are in absolute freefall.
Before we move on to our next section, then, if you're not a member of Team FD, then hit that subscribe button, you dirty dog. Turn notifications on to never miss an episode of Winners and Losers. On to Spurs then. Henrik Pennant sent this in. Possible relation of Jermaine. What are you saying about this game?
Oh, Spurs are struggling. They haven't seen that new manager bump that we thought they might. They've won just 1 of their past 5, and they drew at the weekend 1-1 with Middlesbrough away from home. Not a good result. In fact, Jose Mourinho at the back is struggling, which is not something we associate with Jose Mourinho's sides. In fact, he's been struggling for a little while now. Struggling at the back end of his Manchester United career, and now, in fact, his sides have registered just 1 clean sheet away from home in their last 17 matches in all competitions.
Oh dear.
Which is not good. Spurs haven't kept an away clean sheet, though, in over a year. So it's not just him. There are massive problems at Tottenham in the back line. But I want to mention Jonathan Woodgate because, you know, he started pretty poorly at Middlesbrough. There were calls for his head. There were plenty of fans saying they wanted him sacked and Neil Warnock appointed in charge. But it's not been the case, and he's kind of turned it around more recently, hasn't he? And on the day, they were pretty impressive defensively. You know, they conceded 14 shots, but all but 3 came from outside the box. They were throwing their bodies in front of the ball. 37 clearances, 7 blocks from Dale Fry, Paddy McNair and Johnny Howson. So you can see what Jonathan Woodgate is trying to do in this game. Just get bodies behind the ball and defend, and then hope to hit him on the break.
Robbie Keane's the assistant manager.
Yeah, Robbie Keane is the assistant manager.
And that's why he couldn't come on Football Social. True story. Insights there.
And I believe this must be one of the first games between a Championship side and a Premier League side that has featured a player that won the Champions League with Real Madrid and a manager that won the Champions League with Real Madrid. I think there is one other. In fact, I know there's one other, and if you can name them in the comments below, Chris will follow you on Twitter. We have to talk a little bit about Lucas Moura and Son, though, because they are going to be relied upon heavily over the next few months with Harry Kane tearing his hamstring. Of course, last weekend. He's expected to be out until mid-March.
I look forward to seeing him in 2 weeks then.
Yeah, Moura did get the equaliser, of course, with that header. Son created 4 key passes, but unsurprisingly, Jose not happy about that Harry Kane injury.
Like today, the boys, they did what they can. You cannot transform Lucas or Son in a number 9 like Harry Kane, so we have to try other things, and that's what we are going to do. So until Harry is out, obviously every minute he doesn't play with us means a lot to us. It's a big loss for us. He's a big player for us, but you know, we have to accept it and we have to fight with the boys that are available.
Yeah, not good news for Jose, is it? Both the captains out at current, although reports that Hugo Lloris might be back in training soon-ish.
Yes.
And this poor run of form could continue, given that Spurs have to host both Liverpool and Manchester City in the next 30 days. Tough run of fixtures. For Woodgate, however, it seems like they've turned a corner, like you intimated at there, Joseph. Despite going on that 10-game winless streak between September and November, Middlesbrough are now unbeaten in 5, winning their previous 4 games in the Championship.
Go on, Wooders.
Part of this is down to 24-year-old Ashley Fletcher, who has scored 4 goals in his last 5 appearances. Really turned it on, hasn't he? That was as many as he managed in his previous 27 matches for the Teessiders, I want to say. You have Tyneside, you have Teesside. Everyone's looking at me in the studio like, I don't know, Chris, yet to be confirmed. So Jonathan Woodgate will no doubt be delighted at the possibility to claim a Premier League scalp at his old stomping ground. For Jose Mourinho, however, this fixture is going to be sandwiched in between the match against Liverpool and a resurgent Watford. So he probably rather would have lost, wouldn't he? Although winning a cup at Spurs, he'd be, the most successful manager in about
a decade plus.
So there we go. Maybe he does have his eyes on the prize. Tottenham now just 3 points ahead of 7th place Arsenal, so they need to pick up form quickly because they could be in freefall by the time that February comes around.
They're get Arteta'd.
Absolutely mick-held. Guys, what do you think is going to be the fate of Jose Mourinho in the coming months? Let us know in the comments below. Let's move on.
Moving on to our final winners, it's Manchester City. It was sent in by Oliver on Twitter. Hamill, what are you saying?
I don't know why Doogie's picked this. I mean, thank you for sending in Oliver, but didn't Derby beat Palace and Fulham beat Aston Villa?
Yeah.
But we've gone for the most expensively assembled team of all time beating Port Vale.
Kind.
Okay, so enjoy this. The most obvious section in winners and losers history. I've got down here, Man City brushed aside Port Vale. Can't even say that. Can't even say that. People aren't going to take us seriously at home. Anyway, they did beat them 4-1, didn't they, with goals from Zinchenko, Aguero, Harwood Bellis, and Foden. Although that Harwood Bellis goal was pretty much John Stones', wasn't it? It just came in off his knee. But, they all count. I'd have claimed that for sure. The result means that Pep's side remain on course to win their 4th domestic cup in 3 years. They are pretty impressive in cup competitions as well, aren't they? With the 2018 FA Cup won by Chelsea, the only English trophy to avoid them during that dominant period. And they were completely dominant in this game. Again, feels like a redundant statement. Let's go through the stats. 78% possession, 25 shots against 4, with 10 of them on target to the Valiance's 1. The Valiances. Yeah, okay, that sounds like a real nickname. Despite fielding a strong lineup, including Aguero and David Silva, it was actually the academy graduates that stole the show, Joseph. 17-year-old Harwood Bellis scoring his first City goal, like we mentioned, in just his 6th appearance. And Foden, who deserved the goal, he ran this game from start to finish. Yeah. Followed up a saved Angelino effort, I think it was, if memory serves me correctly, to score his 3rd of the season in just his 18th appearance. So, like we've joked around, straightforward victory, but it means that City haven't lost a domestic cup game since that infamous 1-0 away defeat at Wigan. The run has
not been hard though, has it?
In 2018, that was a horrendous game. The run has not been hard because they have beat Rotherham, Burnley, Newport, Swansea, Brighton, and Watford. People think there's an agenda.
There's not an agenda, but that is...
Maybe, and we need to talk, Joe. I'll be breaking this news in a year's time.
That is a fairly comfortable cup run for Pep Guardiola, isn't it? I want to talk a bit about Tom Pope, though, because obviously by now you will have seen those legendary Twitter comments already where he called out John Stones back in June, didn't he, and said if he played against him, being a League 2 striker, he'd get 40 a season. And he did score in this game.
Great header as well.
Fantastic header, wasn't it? It was an okay cross from Amu, but the header is just exceptional. To generate that power and accuracy from that far out, it's a great header from him. And he obviously took to Twitter pretty quickly after the game, didn't he, say, look, I wouldn't score 40, I'd score 50.
Yeah.
Which I just respect the shithousery from Tom Pope. And then apparently Benjamin Mendy came up to him after the game, waited outside the dressing room for him just to take a selfie to put in the WhatsApp group chat for Man City players. So shithousery all round.
He also said that he was trying to swap his shirt with everyone and they all pied him off and only Zinchenko would give him his shirt because of the comment.
I respect it. I think it's great. But, back to reality, though, sadly so for Port Vale now, because they have to take on Salford City in the leasing.com trophy. midweek. So back to reality for Tom Pope and the boys. Nevertheless, a wicked trip up to Manchester City, who have a slightly tougher test, but not much, against Man United on Tuesday in the Carabao Cup.
Ooh,
Obviously,
that is your opportunity to win a trophy. Your only opportunity.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll take it. Two-legged affair, we stand a little chance. Although Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does have a pretty good record against Pep Guardiola in recent times. But I think Harry Maguire picked up an injury as well against Wolves. So
and Mulder weren't really playing Barcelona, were they, back in the day?
Exactly. So. It does start a nice little run of fixtures as well for Manchester City. You'll be hoping to somehow claw back that ground on Liverpool. They've got Villa and Palace coming up, so they'll pick up probably 6 points there. Although Palace are a little bit of a bogey team for City. As Port Vale, though, I think they've got Stevenage next weekend. So...
Come on, you Valiants. Rounding off the show, then it's Watford as our losers. This was sent in by John James, 1557. Obviously, didn't watch this, but you tell me it was a heavily rotated side.
It was a heavily rotated Watford side. And they actually started bloody well, didn't they? Went 3-0 up against Tranmere Rovers. Looked like it was job done for Nigel Pearson's side, but then it all went wrong and they shipped 3 goals in 30 minutes to draw 3-3 at home against the League One and struggling League One minnows. They are currently 19th in the Premier League, Watford, and Pearson has obviously rejuvenated them to a level where they look like they could scramble out of the relegation zone. So he probably wasn't too fussed about the FA Cup going into this. If he'd have lost it, I don't think he would have cared. The draw, however, means the replay, and the replay means that there's going to be extra pressure on the squad, pressure he just didn't need. Tranmere, like I said, did fight back. Obviously, Connor Jennings getting him back into the game, a goal that was first disallowed, I think, and then given by VAR. And then VAR gave him a penalty to make it 3-3, of course, that Danny Mullin converted. This had been Tranmere's first time experiencing VAR as well, of course. And it has thrown up a little bit of controversy because obviously the replay will mean there won't be VAR. There's only VAR at the Premier League stadiums. And some of the lower league clubs have kind of said, look, it's unfair. The Premier League clubs are getting an advantage because of VAR. We are struggling without it. FA Cup shouldn't include it at all unless everybody gets it.
Right. I mean, I don't really have a strong stance on that.
No, I don't really either. I suppose it is a little bit of an advantage for the Premier League clubs, but at that ground and in that game, both clubs are being treated fairly, aren't they?
Yeah, it's also an advantage, just being better.
Yeah, and Watford weren't particularly better on the day. Obviously, Ricardo Pereira also getting sent off for lashing out in the 88th minute, 89th minute. Just a stupid decision. No need for it at all.
That's the magic of the cut right there. A Premier League star being wound up.
Yeah, but it's always going to happen. And I think when the third goal went in to equalise in the 89th minute, Pereira's head just totally went.
And he's probably looking around at the rest of that squad. You know, he's on the periphery, isn't he? But looking around at the rest of that squad thinking, OK, lads, we're second string, but we're at home and we're being outshot by Tranmere. I mean, Watford edge possession, they had 56%, but they're outshot, like I said, 12-9. And the visitors put 7 on target to Watford's 3. They all went in. Watford were over-converting against Tranmere at home. What a sorry sight. In fact, aside from picking the ball out of his own net, the Tranmere keeper didn't have to make a single save in the match. That's a pretty damning stat, isn't it? While Daniel Bachmann made 5 saves for the home side. And like you touched upon very briefly, ill discipline getting the better of the Hornets. Pereira with that red card. They committed 13 fouls throughout the game. The penalty that drew Tranmere level was, you know, avoidable, let's say. Tranmere just about averaging over a goal a game so far this season. They got battered recently by Coventry 4-1, but still managed to score 3 at Vicarage Road. So fair play to them. Sadly for Watford, they become the first Premier League side to throw away a 3-0 lead against lower league opposition in the FA Cup since the Second World War. So, yeah, really harrowing stuff. Let's just finish this section. All in all, a pretty unwelcome return to the FA Cup for Watford, who'd have been looking to move on after that, you know, demolition in the final last year. Guys, you know, Tranmere fans, are you happy with that? Let us know in the comments below. Let's just end the show.
So that's it for this week's episode of Winners and Losers. Also a shout out from Josh Nearmall for our Star of the Week, Adam Ida, obviously scoring a hat-trick on his debut, I believe. Yeah. For Norwich. Looks quite some talent. If you want to hear about European football where should the people go, Hamill?
Come over to Euro Roundup or Euro FD. Euro Roundup will be on there in an hour's time.
Yes, featuring the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid.
And Torino. Belotti's back, baby.
Thanks very much for watching.
Bye.